Alright guys, here we're talking about Season 4, Episode 2 of The Twilight Zone. This is an episode I feel could have greatly been benefited by being 22 minutes long.
Or not existing at all, I think.
Well, I think step 1 would be cut it back, step 2 would be erase it from history.
Yeah, it would have been a runner-up.
It's
funny.
An
we
episode,
said, like, oh, well, the bad ones are going to be that much better.
Yes.
And I'm like, they'd probably still be fine. They will not.
I was hoping, so it starts out and it's like, I don't know, Captain Bell or whatever the guy's name is, who's like, I haven't been myself, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, kind of hoping, I'm like, I hope this is just padding to make this episode just that much longer and not matter at all. But it does. This man is having like a mental breakdown because during the World War II, his submarine went down and it was his fault. And he thinks they're beckoning him from beyond the grave to join his, the people he doomed.
And he apparently forgot where that happened.
Well,
the single most defining event of his life. They were screaming, he said. And he forgot,
if
we're in that part of the
man,
ocean.
And it happened, I wouldn't know where it was in the ocean.
That's because you're not a Navy man.
I don't know that this guy would even know. I was at this.
He'd be like, oh shit, we're going back to that part of the world where that thing happened to me.
I feel like a large chunk of people on any given sea vessel aren't even privy to the latitude and latitude of where they are. So he's probably just some dude scrubbing the deck one day, and they're like, hey, change this light filter. And he's like, all right, and bungles it, kills them all. But regardless, it's a very slow, drag-along thing that has the potential to be cool if you were to ignore that man's character and anything he brought to the table. Like the idea of a rapping, a tapping coming from, a sunken vessel.
Upon my submarine door.
Is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The idea that they can hear it unassisted just on the deck, I'm like, do you understand how sound works?
I was hoping they would show put that on the speaker and he would go, and then just show me once. Because it cuts to people in different spots being like, fuck's that noise?
Well, it's supernatural at that point, but I
don't even know if it is.
It would be much better as if every time you heard the sound, in open air, it was through that guy's perspective, and it was as if he was being haunted by the sound and no one else could hear it.
Right.
That might be a thing, and then it would make it much more interesting further if they're like, wait, bring up the blah blah. Oh wait, I can hear it. Like there is a noise, but no one can hear it unassisted except for him.
If you would have had a guy go to the medical bay complaining that I can't sleep, the noise is terrifying me, and that's how they find the noise. Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah,
something. Exactly. But the way that it goes about, I'm like, okay, what? And what even are they using? What is that? Like deep sea sound? I just
sonar?
do this and I can. No, the sonar is like the boop boop. Oh, we have a picture of it on our thing. We know it's about the size of a blah blah blah.
So he says, so sonar shoots out sound and then listens for the response.
Yes.
You can just listen and then you hear stuff in the ocean.
Yes, but what they're hearing...
October, when they hear the engine or whatever.
An engine is a
louder,
lot different.
But there's no other noises here.
That's what's so crazy
silent running.
Is if you've ever been at the beach or on the ocean, the sound of the waves alone is fairly loud.
It's quieter below, and there's no waves going up by the shore. There's just the ocean going up and down a little bit.
No, but you're also on a giant destroyer.
Yeah.
They're very fucking loud.
This is they have dudes whose job it is to do that. It's like designed
to be able
to do that.
I don't disagree. I'm still speaking to the fact that they are hearing this just audibly. They're on a soundstage filming all this. There's no noise whatsoever, and you just hear clinking.
Then the people who are in the booth should be able to hear it, but without some link of because they just comment on it and it just happens. I feel like that was some weird
sound travels through water pretty well.
Yeah.
The underwater telephone is interesting to me too, where I'm wondering is that just a speaker outside the boat that's playing? I'm not familiar with that terminology.
I feel like that's supposed to be the radio, but I don't know why they just called it a telephone because that seems weird.
Well, because if it was just a radio, you'd have to have are you just on all frequencies?
It's hailing them or whatever.
Maybe. I just find it so weird. On many accounts, I don't know how deep the particular part of the ocean they're in, but they drop this dude to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. The pressure doesn't seem to matter at all. I guess there's not enough right where he is. He's not even wearing gloves.
He's
just open-aired going down there.
He also goes down in a weird diving bell helmet.
I think that's all they had at the time.
That's fine. It's the 60s. I guess you still look like a horror movie monster instead of a modern diving thing or something like that. But that's goofy to me still, just to have that be the thing. And then it just looks like they're in like a pool, and they just have, and it'll like cut to like the model of the other sub, and then it will cut to like him just next to some big cardboard thing and hitting it and stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, are those windows? What am I looking at on that thing? It looked just like
portholes or something.
It looked just like a caged grate with like black tinted glass below it or something. But in all reality, probably just spray painted cardboard or something, like, black.
Yeah, it was very like whatever. I'm not usually harping on that stuff. Like
I just literally wasn't sure what I was looking at. I'm like, what is this vessel? Like, it didn't seem like like the part for the close-ups like a submarine I'm familiar with. I liked
so close.
The wide.
I was fine that you were like, because you're so close on it, you can't tell what's happening.
Yeah, and they don't actually have any of the entrance ways to say this. Say, oh, that's blocked. Right. This is broken.
I was shocked that we ever actually go like into the sub.
The water.
No,
into the sub.
Into the sub, because like
that. I'm sure they just, whoever owns this had a set for that because World War movies were popular.
Because he says, like, next time, we're going to kick the door down and you're going to go in, but then they have a convenient reason for him to not do that. So I was like, okay, they're never going to go inside. And then later, other people go inside anyway, and I'm like, oh,
with
okay.
him.
Yeah, but like, I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Like,
and they take off their outfits to go in, too. I'm like, that seems interesting.
Once they're in, apparently the bubble is still there or whatever.
I guess. I wouldn't assume anything had air after 20 years, especially if people were potentially alive in it.
I don't know.
It does make sense, like if it would just be something rattling back and forth there. After he said it's rocking in itself and it shifts and you can now see the name, I'm like, well, it's moving a substantial amount. You could easily tie any of that banging to it, just something rattling around in there.
Yeah. And that's the point.
I wonder what the expense of going into there would be. Like, you'd think anyone in their mind would be like, as a 20-year shipwreck, there's nothing alive in there. There's no point in going in there.
Yeah, they start off saying that, and then it seems like the like rapping is like responding to them, and that's what leads them to push.
No, of course.
Say, if there's any possibility of it. Also, like
there's not.
Like a dude like jumps off the boat and disappears and all that stuff. There's weird stuff going on. The sub rescue team shows up, so they do.
I wanted him to be inside the sub.
Me too.
And I'm like, well, that'd be unexplainable.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen the apparatus, because they said something like
the periscope.
I can't remember the word.
It's the periscope thing.
No. They said the apparatus that would make them get inside it. It was some like air bell that goes over the thing so they could open it up. And I was like, that's an interesting thing. The idea that I'm sure it has.
They also talk about getting out through torpedo tubes and stuff.
Yes.
It's cool. You're like, okay, this is like nautical stuff happening. Yeah. Whatever. But no, like in terms of like what the episode is actually about, though, this idea that it's like he's haunted by the guilt, and like seeing like the first time you see the dead soldiers, I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then there's the seaweed, and you're like, am I supposed to believe in like the power of ghosts now? Like, what's happening or whatever? It's really dumb.
And they're like not in sync. Some of them seem more into it than others as they go like.
Yeah, if you watch that scene, you can tell they were all given the, like some sort of direction, like be like nothing, be like a blank. But some people have their mouths open, like and some people are just like stern faced or whatever. It's really, really weird. Not that every ghost can't choose for themselves how they. And
there were how many guys would you say were in that?
7.
You think it was that many? I was
6,
thinking like 6.
Whatever.
And then they said there were 8 total, and I'm like, they couldn't even give me the full amount of people that were there.
Probably not 8. I don't know.
I don't think it was 8, and maybe I'm surprised. Maybe it was. I'll never go back and check because I really don't care.
I didn't even put that together or care about that being like all of those guys or something.
It only mattered to me because I'm like, you said this number. If you knew I only had 4 extras, say 4 guys survived.
But he said that there's 8. I thought he said there's 8 in that room, not there's 8 like on the whole ship.
So well, I took it that only the ones in that room were the ones that were the survivors, the tap that didn't die quickly.
That care more about being dead.
Yeah. Well, I think if you die instantly, you probably can rest.
You don't hold a grudge.
But yeah, if you're, and how they would even know it was him? Like, you just become omnipotent. Like when you die, you're like, oh, it's him. He didn't change that light properly.
No, like there's something there, but I was super pissed that like that guy, like, okay, when there's a ship down there, when they made this big deal out of like read off the number or whatever, like it's gonna be their ship, it's gonna be
couldn't possibly be their ship.
No, Twilight Zone. We're like,
well, that's a submarine and they're in a boat.
Whatever.
That would be the ultimate twist.
I thought that they were both in like the same type of submarine for a while. I guess they're not, whatever, because they showed decks and stuff. Whatever. But that's the kind of thing that I want out of the Twilight Zone. Is some weird, crazy, like, and then like they stick around instead of leaving, and that guy like can sense the danger, and then they get shot, and then it's some weird, crazy thing like that. not this, and to have the dude jump overboard and disappear, and then to not be one of the bodies on the ship, to not have anything like that, to be like, this is crazy, but he's like a skeleton. Here's the dog tags. What do you mean? I have the dog tags right, and they're gone. You're like, oh fuck, what's happening or whatever. Something Twilight.
His dog
Zone.
tags was like a dumb, weird. I'm like, was that like, because it wasn't a misdirect or anything. Like, those were actually his dog tags from when he originally was thrown off the ship before it even sunk. That somehow after 20 years are still, as gently hanging on.
As if he didn't have his dog tags on him, and there's no thing of like, I did. And he says like, oh yeah, that was about like 20 years ago. Like the near-death experience that you've carried around your whole life that's been bothering you so much or whatever. No,
he didn't seem, until it was like kind of dragged out of him, he didn't seem to act under like that was a thing. It like, be it bad writing or what have you.
Yeah, he's it's been 20 years. He's like moved on, but he wasn't like, I've just now remembered this thing happened.
No,
right?
but what I mean is when he saw the faces in the mirror, you'd think he'd be like, that was Johnny and Rick and Bo, like people that like he knew. But he didn't say that.
If they had written that, it's awful. Yeah.
So the fact that he didn't recognize those faces and all that shit, I was like, oh. Well, the doctor hit it on the head. He suffers from crazy mental issues, and he's suppressed this worst day of his life, and now it's coming back at him because he did his shit. And then like when the captain guy, who like we've seen before, he was
he's good. He's fine. He's like a good military dude or whatever.
He was in the episode where like they freeze themselves after a robbery and wake up far too late and carry the gold.
Which guy is he? Not the scientist.
No, he was one of the bad guys.
One of the mobster guys.
In this one particularly, he's made a face. I was like, oh, I think I've seen you in like Bonanza or something. Like,
does he become a skeleton in that other Twilight Zone and like not make it through?
I don't think so.
He's like,
but I could be wrong.
So he's the main guy who's like wandering the wasteland.
I think he was the badass, not the smart one.
Okay.
I think, but I don't remember. I just remember like I think that's the episode he was in.
No, I didn't hate that guy. There's a few other random military things or whatever. It was fine.
The crazy guy I went back and forth on where I was like, oh, you're a ham, or oh, you're pretty good. Like there's one part where he like rests his like, oh, and I'm like, okay, you suck. But before that, I was like, oh, you're pretty good. But he went backward on me.
Yeah, he was. I don't know. And there's not enough of like a core thing here for me to latch onto and go like, yeah, it sucks, but in a way it's cool how they did this and this and this. Like it's very much like the guy had a hammer, but there was also like something else to explain the noise. And then it's like so, and then you're like, oh well, like the noises are like echoes of the past that only this guilty guy could hear. And then he like rejoined his like fate where he and like quantum leaped to like correct it into like where he was, but then they don't find his body, so that's not it. So does he just jump overboard and like drowned?
Presumably.
Or whatever? That was the other thing where they make this big deal out of him not lashing down this like boat properly on like the side of the ship. So when I thought that the sunken thing was going to be one of like the same as them, I thought that, that would be like the proof. Well, the number's the same, but that's crazy. And then there'd be like a boat like in like the wrong position. Well, if that were the scenario,
it would be a great thing.
Oh, that's great.
If like that was like an escape boat that he didn't lash on that got damaged, and then when they sink, no one could even escape because the boats were all fucked.
If it comes into play, that like that matters too, and like no, there was nothing.
I loved like he dives overboard, and they're like man overboard, man overboard, man overboard. 100 dudes get in a raft and drop down.
And start like turning a crank to go like this.
One guy go down and be really
down
quickly
and do this thing or whatever. Yeah.
Well, who knows even how tall that was? He might have died from the jump.
Yes, just like hitting the water, whatever.
I don't know how big that ship was, but it seemed to be a very industrious thing of getting them down. So I was like, I don't know, it's probably pretty high. This episode sucks. Not a good episode.
Agree. I really couldn't find too much redeeming, even like because we have like the performances, we have like the theme and the stuff, and then we have like it's the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, the set was good. I thought the trailer for this episode was better than the episode.
Okay.
I was like, oh, what will be down there? Is it a vampire? Like, that would be interesting. Because how much more fun would it be if, like, oh no, we were able to crack it open. There's a guy in there. What the hell? How did he survive? There's no food. There's no air. What?
And, like, something's not right about it. What's going on? You have an episode of a cool
Well, it's understandable to be something like he'd been trapped down there in dead bodies for 20 years. Of course he's not all right in the head. Where'd Jenkins go? People start showing up dead.
And then, like, Rod Serling can say, like, be careful when you look into the past. You might find something that's more than you bargained for, right? And you could do an awesome thing. What did he say at the end of this one? I tuned it out. I was like, what are you even talking about?
He said, sorry, this episode
The Twilight
sucked.
Zone.
The Twilight Zone.
I think a lot of the military ones have suffered for me in like these regards because I think that they're they're trying to coast on like the meaning of like some of these symbols and things of like
I guess
those are the soldiers and they fought in the great thing and blah blah blah, and I'm like, because there's nothing else here unless you're like, oh,
Not really.
he's carrying all that guilt or something like that. That's dumb.
Nah. All right, guys. That was this episode of Twilight Zone. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. Don't die in a fire, and we'll see you next time.
Hello, internets. I just love watching JustDaggers. If you've enjoyed this video as much as I have, click that subscribe button. Peace out, homies.